Okay. Well, it's taking me all day to get here because, well, one is because I'm a delay fish lately. I'm figuring stuff out. I'm trying to figure out the most efficient way to do podcasting, and my platform has changed how they do things, and so I'm just reconfiguring things. And I discovered the most efficient way actually to podcast is through Zoom. I record everything on Zoom and it gets sent to my email, and then I deal with it when I'm ready, and it doesn't take up more space on my memory and all that. So that's just great. But today I just delay. One is because it's almost like I'm manifesting these problems. I'm manifesting like the interruptions and like, oh, I can't because of, oh, I can't because of. Really, I could have just made it happen. I could have, but I didn't. So anyway, here's to um being a delay fish today, and that's fine. So this is going to be a bit of a short one, and that's fine. So this is going to be a nice bite size. So whoever needs this message, I'm putting out there for you. And yes, so here we go. So my title today is "Don't Be." Let me pull my notes here. Notes. The perfect marriage isn't perfect. Perfectionism is toxic. Don't be at the laundromat while your kids are opening presents on Christmas. Okay, so don't be at the laundromat while your kids are opening presents on Christmas. So I just learned of this lady, and she wrote a book, and my sister read this book. She was enticed by the title or whatever because she's like, ooh, this should be, an interesting book to read. And my sister is a writer, and so of course, she's into, seeing how other writers write and all that stuff. Anyway, so she's reading this book, and she's telling me, she's like, I was so infuriated. You need to do a podcast on this because this is just maddening. So this woman, she thought the whole book was going to be about this woman coming out of the depths of despair and climbing up and becoming successful. Well, this woman did become successful, but she wasn't ever in the depths of despair, except for this despair that she put herself in. And she just spent the entire book just complaining. And one of the stories, which I'm going to focus on here today, this story, we're going to really feed off of this story, is so apparently she describes it's Christmas morning. She's like, for example, she uses a story about how, what a victim she was in life and in her marriage and in her motherhood or whatever, because she describes this story. And this story goes that she was at the laundromat doing laundry on Christmas while her children and husband were at home opening presents. I don't know all the details of this. I don't know, but that's insane. Okay, first of all, why is she at the laundromat on Christmas doing laundry instead of being at home doing presents with her kids? Because according to my sister, because I didn't read the book, I will probably have to read the book, but because I asked, I'm like, well, was the husband a narcissist? Did he like make her be at the laundromat? And my sister's like, no, she chose to be there. And I was just like, well, then that's psycho. So it's so easy in our relationships, in our life, in our marriages, which is what we're focusing on today, to put ourselves in victimhood, to literally cause our own despair. So she had so many choices she could have made. One, if that laundry, like maybe a child had zero underwear. Mom, I have no underwear, and I need underwear and it's Christmas. Well, I'm going to have to go wash your underwear. No, the child doesn't need underwear. She can wear pants. She's fine. She's going to be fine for a day. Maybe maybe they needed to be done that day, fine, but that can wait until after the presents are open and you've enjoyed the family. You run down to the laundromat and you're like, I'm gonna hurry and wash this load of laundry and I'll be right back. Have a few moments of peace to yourself, enjoying, maybe take whatever Christmas present you got with you. And like her husband apparently made fairly good money. Um, I guess I don't know, whatever. It's weird. So it wasn't like, I don't think they were, as far as I know, they weren't like in poverty or anything like that. But then they're the laundromat, they don't have their own laundry room. So that does speak that they probably didn't have a lot of money, but still, all the choices were there. She didn't have to do that on Christmas. She put herself there. Nobody made her go. Her husband didn't like say, you have to go do this now. And if he did, well, she has every right to be like, yeah, okay, if you want it done so bad, you can go do it yourself. I'm going to enjoy the kids and the presents here, right? There's there's just no logic to it. The only reason why she was there is because she wanted to have a reason to feel sorry for herself or to have people feel so. She's looking for that woe is me, because it's so easy to get stuck in that. It's like some people do it subconsciously. They do, where life is tough. And I'm guilty. I've done that before, where here I am, going along in life and things are fine. And it's like I self-sabotage myself. Like usually this happens because I'm a woman during time of the month. I'm like looking for reasons to be sad. I literally want to watch a movie that'll make me cry because I want this emotion to get out of my hand, of my whatever, and my innards. So I need to release this emotion, and so I watch a sad movie just so I can cry it all out and just like refresh myself, right? But then there's too many women out there that they look for the reason to be sad, and it's stupid. It's not a way to live. You are going to just be a miserable person, and you become, I'm sorry to anyone out there who's a sweetheart who's named Karen, but we all know the whole profile of Karen. So you kind of become the profile of Karen, and nobody wants to be a Karen. So uh don't be at the laundromat while your kids are at home opening Christmas presents. Don't do that. That's stupid. Why would you do that to yourself? Don't. Okay. So again, let's go back to the choices she had. Okay. So there was obviously a reason why she felt she had to do, and like so like no, be done now. Okay. Well, if you're so OCD, it wasn't before. Maybe she's prepping Christmas. She didn't have time for the laundry. She had to let that go. And now she just can't let it go on Christmas Day. So that is an inward word problem. So usually people who are perfectionists, and they always are just that things have to be perfect, is for usually, there's probably other reasons, but main two reasons I'm going to mention are worried about what people think. That matters so much to them, and they don't feel like they're enough. So they're always doing and doing so that they can feel like they're enough. Okay. So so inner work, right? If you find yourself in a situation similar to this, where you're at the laundromat during a special time that you should be having with your family, well, you're doing it wrong. You're doing life wrong. You're doing your parenthood wrong. You're doing your marriage wrong. Just stop. I'm betting that her husband was like, really, you have to do this now? I really would rather you were here and with me and the kids opening presents. And she's probably thinking, well, I wish you'd be a hero and you'd be the one going and doing this laundry. And it's just like, no, don't do it on Christmas. Okay, let's all be sane for a minute and let's not do this on Christmas. You're asking for trouble. And eventually, of course, she ended up getting a divorce, and her whole, she was a victim the whole time, and she became very self-reliant and this feminist, whatever woman. And it's just whatever. So, I mean, kudos to her for being successful. Yay. But you know what? You can be successful and miserable. Like, what do you really, what do you really want in life? Like, do you want success to come with misery? Because it doesn't have to. I fully plan on being successful and still having a wonderful relationship as I do with my husband and as I do with my children. I'm not sacrificing any of that, none of it, to be successful. And because I'm making different choices, I'm not going to go to a laundromat on Christmas when my children are opening presents. And I'm not going to make a big deal out of things that may look like a big deal to me. It's, I have this motto and it's really important. Tune in here, write this down, put it on a post-it note, put it on your phone. There's just wherever, just have it constantly in your brain. It's only as big of a deal as you make it. So most marriages fall apart because people make small things into big things. So an issue arises, right? A normal issue, because we're all humans and we all feel and we all have emotions and think differently, right? And you have a choice to make it into a big deal or to not, right? Because it will always only be as big of a deal as you make it. It will only matter if you make it matter. So the other night, was determined, like, there's one of my children, of course, had like spilled popcorn all over. And it's not just popcorn, of course, it's caramel corn and it's sticky. So, and most of it had gotten cleaned up, but there was still some all over, and I was stepping on it and it was annoying me. It was really late at night. We had a long trip and I was already tired, and I was pushing. I was determined to be able to relax. But first, these things in my head had to be taken care of. If they weren't taken care of, I couldn't relax. So I was doing all these things, and I honestly, I was torturing myself. But so here I am. I get out my little vacuum and I start vacuuming. My husband's already decided I'm letting everything else go. We've done enough. We're good. I'm sitting down, having a snack. I'm going to watch, binge watch our favorite YouTube channels and stuff like that while I enjoy. And he's got a long work day, the next day. And so he's relaxing. And of course, me in my, we're going to call it an OCD moment. I'm not normally OCD, but there's sometimes it comes up. I go grab my little handheld vacuum and I start, turn it on, and he's like, "Are you kidding me? You're gonna do this right now." And of course, he's frustrated because it is late. It's like 12 o'clock at night. It's tired, right? We need to go to bed. And so, and I still need to feed myself, but I just don't want to. I just want the popcorn gone, right? And I'm thinking to myself, and he's getting frustrated. And I'm just like, all this stuff that I just did and whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, just let me get this popcorn. But he's just like, just chill. And you know what? I could have, but did not, could have been like, well, I've done all this, and I just want to get this popcorn and sit down and I want to relax. And it's just like, maybe you could help me with that. I could have done that. No. Why? Because it was unnecessary. He was already tired. He took the same trip I did, the long trip, and we're on the same train and we're both tired. We just had different ideals of what would be relaxing to us, right? He was done. He had done what he thought was important, and he was ready to sit down and chill. And me doing the vacuum, and he pointed out, if you really wanted that bad, you could have done the broom. At least it wouldn't have been, because the vacuum was loud. He couldn't hear anything, right? So, and I didn't give any fair warning. I was just determined to get things done. So rude on my part for that, right? But that's the thing. I could have, which my husband and I don't do this kind of thing, but I could have, because I thought about, in most relationships, this would have turned into a huge argument. And it could have gone, well, you this and you that. Well, I drove all this way. Well, I did all this. Well, this. And what about you? La, la, la. And it could have just gone and then spiraled into like bringing in past stuff and just, yelling and just end up going to bed mad at each other. But that did not happen. You know why? Because him and I both decided not to make it into a big deal, right? He didn't drag it out anymore. He said his piece and whatever. And then I let him have his piece, internalized, okay, yeah, I see where I was rude. And he was just like, you could have used the broom. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not faster, right? And he's just like, technically, it's about as fast. And technically, he was right. And I was like, all right. And you let it go. Let it go. And I'm just like, and I'll tell you, and this is for women. So if you're a dude, sorry, you got to deal with this. But this is important for dudes and women's to dudes and women's to understand. Yes, we're so awesome here. That so I'm on my period too at this time, right? And the reason why I point this out and this is important is because when a woman is on her period, it is so much harder to not be upset and to not want to say things that are going to start an argument. Okay. It is so much harder. We're more emotional, more irritated and annoyed at everything, right? But because I know that I'm on my period, I make that connection. This is important, women. Make that connection. Say, okay, I am feeling a lot more passionate about this right now because I'm on my period. Once you make that connection, it does something. I have no scientific anything for this. I just know that this helps. That it does something inside of your brain where it almost gives you a little bit of a fictitious pill where it calms you down, like, okay, this is period related. So we're going to calm ourselves, take a deep breath, and we're going to let it all go because it doesn't need to be a big deal. Right? Okay. So we're already going a little past the time that I want to go. So we're going to wrap this up. But here's the thing. Okay. Again, it's only as big of a deal as you make it. Okay. And it is important to get yourself to realize, to have an awareness of self that you are in victimhood and you are the toxic one when you are in victimhood. So that woman, she described, her husband is toxic and everything is toxic, the people toxic, but she was the toxic one because she was victimizing herself. Like, for example, one of the scenarios is she complained that she had to ride first class on an airplane because her husband refused to buy his own jet. Okay. If that doesn't spell spoiled brat to me, I don't know what else does. This woman lacked one huge thing. And this is, I guess, actually more important than, well, not more important, but just as important as the other two is she lacked great gratitude in her life. So when we lack gratitude in our lives, we are constantly in victimhood. So here's what I want you all to do today. Get some gratitude. If you resonate with this message today, then it's time to start a gratitude journal. Or what I like to do, because I have kids, 6 of them, and writing sounds like a chore, and I have enough chores. So I have this app that's called Yap. I think it's YAPP or it's YEPP. Anyway, it's amazing. You can put any message you want on there, and throughout the day, randomly 3 times throughout the day, it'll go ding and it'll give you a reminder, a soft reminder of something. And my quotes are what I need. Mine are like positive thinking and like, whatever like that. But you could put a bunch of this, because you can put as many as you want, right? It's free, by the way, in case I didn't say it, it's free. And you could put something like, I am so grateful for how hard my husband works for my family. Have that ding, right? And remind yourself. And it's so funny. Sometimes the messages that pop up, like when I'm dealing with a frustrating moment, and then you'll go ding, and like, you're happy anyway, because no matter what, and I preach this, and I try to practice what I preach. No matter how crappy life is right now, you can be happy anyway. It's true. It's absolutely 100% true because happiness is a choice. So, so there you have it. But anyway, so bing, and I'll be frustrated, and all of a sudden I'll look down and I'll be like, "You're happy," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah." So frustrating. But then I'm like, "Hey, fine, you're right," and it helps. It reminds me, like, okay, don't sit in this. Come on, work yourself out. So start a grateful journal, start grateful reminders, post notes, whatever you gotta do. I'm grateful for my children, and acknowledge that sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to communicate with your spouse. Sometimes it's hard to get through to your children, and it can be infuriating, but you don't need to let that take away or ruin your day or happiness. Now, obviously, we're all guilty of that. I definitely have just like, oh, thrown my hands in the air and been like, that's it. I've had it. I'm done. I'm just like, and I lose my temper on my children, and I'm just yelling at them, and then later I coming back like, oh, I'm sorry. I overreacted. I'm just a little tired today, or whatever it is, or I'm just frustrated with this, and it's not fair of me to take it out on you, right? And it's just, anyway, gratefulness helps. Gratitude. So start a gratitude journal, and let's not be at the laundromat on Christmas morning while your children are at home with your husband unwrapping gifts. Okay. Don't put yourself there. She literally put herself there. Don't put yourself there. Okay. All right. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Hope you learned something from this, and rock on.